We're gonna start things nice and easy. I want you to get used to my working techniques in Illustrator before we move on to more complex shapes. Those of you who have enrolled in my Design Logos Learn Illustrator course are in better position because, well, you've already learned what kind of logic I put behind my work. So I highly advise you to enroll in my Design Logos Learn Illustrator course just so you can follow along easier and learn how to use Illustrator effortlessly and effectively. When I said that we were going to start things nice and easy, I meant that we were going to create this laboratory flask icon first. And let me break it down for you real quick. The flask shape itself comprises of the round base. Then we got this rectangle, which is the neck of the flask. We got another rectangle that works as a shadow. We got this ending right here that I've created using the rounded rectangle tool. And of course we got the round background and this big shadow on the right. So all in all, a fairly easy composition. Easy to create shapes and pretty straightforward transformations. So let's get started. And I will start by cloning the artboard. So I will grab my artboard tool. I could always use the Shift+O shortcut. But before I start cloning the artboard, I will make sure that Move Copy Artwork with Artboard is not selected. We only want to copy the artboard itself, not the icon, not the artwork. So now we can duplicate an artboard, and cloning it is just like with any shape in Illustrator. I mean, we can simply select it with the artboard tool, hold down the Shift key and the Alt key to clone it to the right, just like so. Now, to get out of the artboard tool, I will hit the Escape key. And there we go. We've duplicated our artboard in a matter of just a few clicks. Now, if you want, you can rename the newly created artboard by double-clicking the artboard's name and entering a name in line in the artboard's panel. But that's totally up to you. What I will do, however, is I'll create a new layer for the newly created artboard. So I will go to the Layers panel, and I will Alt-click the new layer icon down here. So, I can get a Layer Options dialog box where I will name my layer as Lab Flask, for instance. At this point, I really don't care about other options, so I will leave them and just click OK. But I will lock the original layer by clicking in the spot to the left from the layer's name, which brings up this padlock icon, just so I don't mess the original artwork up accidentally. And yeah, I'm ready to create my icon. I will start with the circle base of the flask, and well, you probably guessed it, I will use the ellipse tool. Quick note here, guys. I use a lot of shortcuts when I work with Illustrator. They not only add a more sort of professional feeling to the workflow, but they really make creation and transformation process quicker. So I highly encourage you to learn at least the most basic shortcuts like the L key, which initializes the ellipse tool. So with the tool enabled, I will draw a perfect circle, holding down the Alt and the Shift keys to constrain the proportions and to start drawing from center like so. Now I will add a neck to the flask. So I want to draw a rectangle, right? And for that I'll go to the rectangle tool this time. But normally I'd go for the N key shortcut. Okay, so let me drag a rectangle like so. Yeah, I think that this should be fine. I also want to make sure that these both shapes align properly, so I will align them to center, making sure that in the control panel Align to Selection option is checked. Now I'm going to need the top part of the flask, and as I mentioned before, I will create it with the rounded rectangle tool. So I'll grab it from the Tools panel, and I'll create it just like so. I want to make it a bit taller. Don't worry that it might look too tall. We will take care of it in a second. Again, I want to make sure that these shapes align properly, so I will align them to center. Okay, Now I want to take care of this lastly created rectangle because, as we said before, it's too tall. So with the selection tool, I will double click on it to isolate it from other shapes, because what I want to do now is to delete its bottom part. And if I don't do it in the isolation mode, well, I can delete parts of other shapes, which obviously I don't want. So I will make sure that my direct selection tool is active, and I can do that either by, of course, going to the tools panel and selecting it right here. This is this white arrow, or I could simply hit the A key on the keyboard. Okay, so now I can marquee around the bottom half of the rectangle, but let me first zoom in a little. So I will marquee around these 4 bottom anchor points like so, and simply hit delete. And what I end up with is an open, half-rounded rectangle shape, which I need to now close. And we can do that by either going to the Object menu, Path, and by choosing Join. But I usually go for the Ctrl-J shortcut, which is, to tell you the truth, one of the handiest. Well, now it's time for some simple Pathfinder operations. We're going to use uniting because we want to unite these shapes to make it look like a flask. So I'll move on to the Pathfinder tool, which sits nicely in the window Pathfinder. And since I'm going to be using this tool a lot, I will dock it in the right panel to keep it handy. Now from the Pathfinder tool, I will choose this option right here that says Unite. And just like that, I have created one unified flask shape. To complete the base shape, I need to still create the shadow rectangle, so to speak. Yeah, shadow rectangle. Well, that's fairly easy. All I need to do is to create a rectangle with the rectangle tool. Let me zoom in a bit. And yeah, I will create a rectangle just like so. Okay, and that's the base shape created. When we take a quick look at the original, we can see that we got this irregular kind of round shape that acts like some chemical substance boiling. So let's create it now. We'll take some more techniques and transformations, but don't worry, they're easy to follow. I'll start again with creating an ellipse, just like so. I will reposition it so it appears in the center. And now we'll again have to use the services of the Pathfinder tool, but before that, I'll need a curvy path to complete the effect I'm looking for. So I will create just a regular, ordinary kind of line, but I will make it a bit special. I will add an anchor point right in the middle of it. I could of course go for the pen tool and try to find the middle of the line to add the anchor point, but that's just too clumsy. I will instead go to the Object menu, Path, Add Anchor Points. Now, what it does is it adds anchor point or anchor points right in the middle of existing anchor points, and in this case, since we had just 2 original anchor points, we've added one exactly in the middle of them. Now, what is the whole purpose of it? Well, the purpose or the ultimate goal is a nice curvy line, and we can create it now with a little bit of help from the Convert Anchor Point tool that sits in the Pen tool group in the Tools panel. When I shift click with it on the center anchor point like so, you can see that I'm creating a nice looking symmetric wave. And that's exactly what I want. Now I will simply reposition it over the ellipse, readjust its shape by holding down the Alt and the Shift keys together, and now I can finally move on to the Pathfinder tool, where I want to use the divide function, but first I will make sure that both the wave and the ellipse are selected. And now I can click to divide the ellipse like so. Now, by default, this new shape remains as a group, which is indicated here in the control panel, but of course we don't need the top part, so I will ungroup these guys by going to the Object, Ungroup menu, and now I can select the top part and simply hit the backspace or delete key to delete it. It might look like, no, we are done, right? Well, we are almost done. What I still don't like about this chemical substance shape is this point right here. You can see that it's, well, rather pointy, and I want it to be smooth. Well, not to worry, I'll let Illustrator worry for me. I will select this anchor point with the direct selection tool, and see this option in the control panel that says Convert Selected Anchor Points to Smooth. Well, if I click it, Illustrator does a pretty good job of smoothing out this point, so it looks, well, like this. Pretty nice, don't you think? Okay, we're almost there. We still need the bubbles and the background, and of course the colors. So let's start with the bubbles. Well, that's no problem, right? I will just grab the ellipse tool and create bubbles like so. Of course, we could spend the whole afternoon playing with the position and the size of the bubbles, but I guess we'll just stick with these guys. I just want to show you the concept, the techniques. And well, the last thing to do now is to add the background, which we will do again with the ellipse tool. So I'll create an ellipse, I'll make it fairly big, reposition it, and I'll copy it and paste it in front. Now the second ellipse will of course be our shadow, so again I will double click on it to enter isolation mode. And with the direct selection tool, I'll select the left anchor point, delete it, and hit Ctrl J on the keyboard to close this open path. I'll hit escape. And what I'll do now is I'll move the circle background all the way to the back of the stack, and I'll do that by going to the Object menu, Arrange, and I'll choose Send to Back. Now what's left to do is to colorize the icon, and we will take the easier approach in this video. In another we'll take a more advanced approach, but let's take things slowly, nice and easy and slowly. Let's eat this elephant bite by bite. And the easy approach is to go for the eyedropper tool and start picking up colors from the original icon one by one. So I'll pick up this color, and this one as well, and this one, yeah, and we are done, my friends. We made it. Wasn't that all simple? Well, it's because I make it simple, and you will see some more easy and spectacular effects in other videos. More flat icons are still to come, so stay tuned.